Today we're taking a look at the 2022 Theme Park State of the Union. This is Go Inform Podcast, episode 72. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. It's 2022 and it's time for some new episodes of the podcast. So super happy to have you here with me today. My name's Maven. I am the hostess on the show, and today we're going to talk about what you can expect a little bit as we go into 2022 for any kind of theme park vacation plans that you might be making. Thank you for your patience, as so many months have passed since the last episode. You guys are amazing for subscribing to the show and getting these sporadic episodes that I've been making. I really, really appreciate it. It's 2022. Things are still not back to normal yet, which is crazy. I think we can all agree, but here we are, and I really do think it's a good time to kind of take a pause and talk about sort of where things are right now and what we can look forward to in the parks for this next year. The good news is, if you want to visit a theme park in 2022, that is totally doable, but things still might be a little bit different than the last time you were there, and that's mainly what I want to talk about today. This is going to be sort of a heads up kind of quick episode. I do have lots of stuff to tell you guys in more detail as we get further into the year. So do be sure to hit the subscribe button on your podcast player so you will get those next episodes. But for now, let's just dive into kind of a state of affairs with the parks. And also just a quick sort of thank you and update from me and what's going on over here. This year in 2022, the goinform.net website turns 7, and I don't believe how this has happened. I started the blog as just sort of a way to share what I knew about the parks with friends, and never expected to still be writing and publishing stuff over there, in 2022. There is a lot now in the archives on the website, by the way, and some of it actually still does hold up. So if you haven't checked out the website before, go over and see what's there. And you guys, it's not just theme park stuff either. Yeah. Some of it is about the tropics. So if someplace like Hawaii, for instance, is also on your radar coming up, you might want to check out what I've got posted over there on the site. And of course, that's at goinform.net. So the podcast is 5 years old now. Again, another crazy thing. Here we are in episode 72. And I think it's time to kind of have a refresh. So one thing that you guys all probably notice is that I always introduce myself as your hostess, Maven. And Maven is my blogging nickname that I assigned to myself way back when I started the website 7 years ago. And I think it's fun to have sort of a superhero name. But I also think that we've gotten to know each other a little bit here over these last, 5 years of podcasting, especially. So I would like to tell you guys that in real life, my friends usually just call me Sue. And I think it's time that that's who I should introduce myself as here on the show. So from now on, you will hear me introduce myself as your vacation maven, Sue. And I hope that I didn't just blow anybody's mind. I'm pretty sure this is not a surprise to anyone who's especially watched my Facebook live chats that have been going on every week for the last 2 years, where you will always hear Joey call me Sue. So just to be consistent, that's what you're going to hear on the show here as well. And it's great to get to know you guys better, and I think you should know me a little better too. Okay, now let's get down to business and talk about what's going on in the parks right now and what 2022 might look like. I've got a few kind of bullet point things to share with you guys today. And there aren't any show notes for this episode, but it will be the topic of the next newsletter that's coming out just a day or two after this episode. So if you haven't already subscribed to the newsletter, make sure you're on that list. I send an email out about once every 2 weeks, and it's usually fairly detailed extra tips about traveling to the parks. And especially as things have been changing so much, it's nice to get those twice a month updates. Even if you're just thinking about having a trip, just to kind of know what's going on. So you can always join the mailing list over at goinformed.net/newsletter. And when you go to that page, you will see a spot where you can click. It says click to see what you've missed so far. And that will actually get you to the archives of all the past newsletters. So if you're listening to this weeks later or whatever, you can actually still see that newsletter that I'm sending out just by going over to that page, goinformed.net/newsletter, and then click on the archives little link there. And then you can see all the stuff that's been sent out going way, way back, actually, if you want. And in fact, in my December email that went out was all about things that are coming in 2022. So, and it's a pretty long list. So I'm not going to dive too deep into those details right now. Some of those things are what the future episodes will be more deeply about. But I want to give you kind of some top level bullet points of things to be aware of and be excited about for 2022. So the first thing to really point out is that all the U.S. theme parks are open right now, and they're operating a lot closer to what I think most of us would consider as normal than they were a year ago. So if you are considering a trip or if you've got one already booked, just know that, you can go. You can still go, and you can still do and see and eat and explore a lot of the stuff that has always been in all the parks, whether you're going to Disney World, Disneyland, one of the Universal parks. A lot of it is there for you to enjoy, pretty much same as it used to be. And I think I'd like to take a sec and give a shout out to all the park employees who are making that happen. This has not been an easy time to be out in the public working, and they are getting it done, and it has been really impressive. So if you are traveling into any of these parks, just be sure to show your gratitude because, man, they are really working hard and they're doing a really good job. So in terms of individual destinations, let's start with Universal Orlando. So Universal Orlando, in terms of new things that will be coming in 2022, there's actually not a lot happening that's going to be new at Universal Orlando this year. And the main reason for this is that in Orlando, Universal is actually started construction on an entirely new theme park. So they are building a third theme park. It's called Epic Universe, and it's going to have more Wizarding World of Harry Potter. We don't know what part of the world yet it's going to be, but I'm super psyched for it. I hope you guys are too. And there's going to be a Nintendo Land. There's going to be a DreamWorks Land. We don't have too many details yet, but they have broken ground. They have started building it. It's going to be pretty much adjacent to the current Universal Orlando Resort space. And it's going to be epic, you guys. But it's not going to open until probably 2025. And what you're going to see at Universal Orlando in the meantime is that there's probably not going to be a whole lot of new stuff coming into any of their other parks because all the money and effort and energy is going into this new one. So don't expect any big announcements in terms of new rides or whatever going into Universal Orlando this year. But there actually are a few things to note that opened last year, which if you didn't visit in 2021, these are going to be new to you anyway. So probably the top thing, in my opinion anyway, is the new Velossa Coaster, which is a gigantic high-speed roller coaster that they've built in the Jurassic Park part of Islands of Adventure. And this coaster is one of the biggest deals in Orlando that has opened in the last couple of years. It's a really great coaster, very popular and worth visiting Islands of Adventure for if you're a roller coaster person. So know that that's something new. And actually, Hagrid's Magical Motorbike Adventure roller coaster, that opened in 2019. So that might be new to you as well. So if you are a coaster fan, Islands of Adventure could be a really fun destination for you right now because they also have the Hulk coaster in that park. It's just really become a great spot to go if you're a roller coaster fan. Oh, by the way, if you want to hear more about the Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure Coaster, that's episode 46. So you can pop back in the archives and hear my impressions of that the first time I got to ride that. Another thing at Universal Orlando to note is that last year, an entirely new hotel complex opened on site, and it's called the Endless Summer Resort. It's actually kind of two separate hotels, but it's all part of this big, huge complex. So it's the Dockside and the Surfside Inns. And these are mainly suite hotels designed for families and very affordable. Like they are super competitively priced, you guys. And they are on-site hotels at Universal, which means you get all the perks of being an on-site guest. And the main one being early admission to the parks every day, plus the convenience of being right there on site and all the other cool stuff. The opening of these hotels has really made Universal a serious competitor with Disney for overnight guests in Orlando. You guys can listen to all my reasons why I think you should stay on site at Universal Orlando on episode 56, which is way more detail about the hotels. Staying on site is a really great idea for at least part of your Orlando vacation because of the convenience of being right there next to the parks at Universal. So, we've got some new thousands more hotel rooms at Universal Orlando now with some really great rates. So keep that in mind if you hadn't already been considering staying on site there. Now you've got even more options. So across town at Disney World, a lot has actually been going on that's new. And there are things coming too that are going to be opening in 2022, or at least that's what Disney's telling us right now. So a few things that have recently opened. First of all, there's new fireworks shows both in Epcot and Magic Kingdom. And just the fact that there are fireworks at all is a big deal because we didn't have them for a lot of 2021. So that's something that you can look forward to. Epcot has received some big new things and is getting a lot of love. The big attraction that has recently opened at Epcot is called Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. It's in the France Pavilion over in the World Showcase end of the park, and it's a delightful, family-friendly attraction that's everybody's been really raving about. So that's something new to look forward to. Also in Epcot, there is a really cool new restaurant that's opened over kind of by Test Track and Mission Space. It's called Space 220, and it has the illusion that you are eating in outer space. So when you go into the restaurant, You take an elevator 220 miles above the Earth. And when you get out of the elevator, you are in a space station. The food is reportedly fantastic, and the view cannot be beat. So that's another cool new thing that they've added at Epcot. We've also got some really neat stuff coming to Disney World in 2022. First thing that's going to be opening that's going to have a lot of hoopla is the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel, which is sort of like that restaurant I just mentioned. It's in outer space. So it's like you are on a Star Cruiser in the Star Wars universe. It is sort of like going on a cruise, but it's Star Wars and it's on land, but it doesn't seem like it. It is a crazy interactive experience that if you haven't already heard about it, I'd be surprised because it's been talked about quite a bit. It's opening this spring, and then once it opens, we'll have more of a sense of exactly what happens on the Star Cruiser. But this is really, really cool if you're a Star Wars fan. Another thing that's opening up probably at the end, it's supposed to open in the summer, but I'm going to guess it'll be like the very, like in September, a new roller coaster in Epcot, which is Guardians of the Galaxy themed. And this is supposed to be an attraction much like the Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts attraction. It's like a roller coaster, but also like has all this story in it. And I think it's going to be super cool. And that is, again, coming towards the end of this year. And that's been under construction for quite a while. So it'll be a big deal when this thing opens up. You will see things coming back to Disney World that haven't been there, which is things like Fantasmic. It's still closed. The Magic Kingdom Railroad has been closed because of construction on another new thing, which is a Tron coaster in Magic Kingdom, which probably won't open till next year, but we'll see. And parades, hopefully the Magic Kingdom Afternoon Parade will be back this year too. Something else, this is a big thing that you guys need to know about at Disney World, and which will have its own post and episode here coming up, is the new version of Fast Pass that Disney has rolled out. And this is actually both affecting Disneyland and Disney World. So I think everybody knows what Fast Pass is. It's been around a really long time, and then it went away when everything shut down, and it didn't come back because Disney rolled out kind of a new version of it, and they changed all the language around it, and so it's gonna be confusing. I'm just telling you right now, if you are going to a Disney park in 2022, you're going to want to do some homework about this. The new system is called Disney Genie, and what used to be the Fast Pass queues are called Lightning Lanes, and there is a charge now to use this system. And I'm, again, not going to get into the details right now because that's going to be a long episode. We will talk about it coming up. But if you have a trip coming up soon, you need to know what this is. I highly recommend you get on WDW Prep School's website or the Disney Tourist blog. Find one of those sites and check out their information about how Disney Genie works and, figure out if this is going to work for you. It is an added on thing that you have to decide to do. So it's not automatic like Fast Pass used to be. And I know it's going to be a challenge for a lot of visitors, especially if you're not a regular. So this message right now, just my little PSA, heads up. It's not Fast Pass anymore. It's Disney Genie, and you will want to know about it way before you go on your trip. And again, I will get into this also, but if you're going anytime the next, shortly, couple months, make sure you do your homework on that one. So another thing that you're going to notice about some of my upcoming content here is that I'm going to be talking more this year about the West Coast parks as well as the East Coast parks. The thing is, in 2022, geography kind of matters in terms of travel. So, it might be that you don't want to fly as far. It might be that you have a certain part of the country you feel more comfortable traveling to. Maybe you want to stay closer to home or drive or whatever it is. So we're going to be talking more about California on the show here this year too, because I think that you might want to consider, if you've always gone to the East Coast, maybe the West Coast makes more sense for you right now. There's lots of reasons why you might want to expand your choices of where to go and get your theme park fix. And I went to California in this past summer, and I can tell you right now that especially Disneyland, what we have there now is really a multi-day experience that you could have a major theme park vacation there. So I'm going to be talking more about that as we move into the year. And in fact, the next episode is going to be about how Universal Studios Hollywood compares to Universal Orlando. So keep an eye for that one. That will be up here in a couple weeks. Now, in terms of Disneyland is also still just sort of getting back to normal. They have said that they're going to bring parades back and fireworks here this spring. So those things are currently not happening at Disneyland, but are on the horizon. One of the coolest things about Disneyland right now is the new Avengers Campus. This opened up last year, and it is super cool, you guys. I will be doing an episode about it. It makes California Adventure an even more robust park in terms of things to do and see and eat. It really makes Disneyland Resort almost a must-see for any Disney fan. So you can't see Avengers Campus at Disney World, and it is really worth it, especially if Marvel's your thing. So we're going to be talking about Avengers Campus coming up, but just know if you haven't been to Disneyland in a while, that is a whole new thing that's over there and really, really worth seeing. So the other thing that I want to just point out, which you probably already noticed from everything I've said, is that it looks like 2022 is shaping up to be another one of these kind of transition years. I wish I wasn't telling you this again. I'm pretty sure I had something similar to say at the beginning of 2021. It's going to be a year where things are mostly coming back, but you have to just be a little bit nimble because there also might be things that go away again for a little while. All of the policies, the COVID protocols that have been in place since all the parks reopened, they have changed. They are evolving. So just know that what is happening today could be different next week. And if you're planning a vacation really anywhere these days, you just have to know that it might not be quite what you expected. So be sure to keep in mind that things can change, but you can still do most of the stuff. Okay, so yeah, you might have to wear a mask inside, but you can still ride all the cool rides, And I think we're all pretty used to this now, and I know we're all kind of tired of it too, but we can still do these things. We just have to know that they might be modified. Especially in Disney World, staffing is still an issue. And they don't have their international staff back yet. So you are going to see that impacting restaurants, especially, and the kind of experience you're going to get, and also the availability of reservations at dining. So plan ahead. Know that it's not going to be exactly the same as maybe before. If you are planning the once-in-a-lifetime trip, you might want to plan it for towards the end of the year or even 2023, just to kind of give yourself that buffer. More likely, you'll be more likely to have, something closer to an experience you would have had in 2019. But if you're okay with modified, but heck, we're getting on that roller coaster and we still get to go do our theme park fix, then you can totally go right now. I would also add that in terms of kind of closer to business as usual, Universal Orlando never made as many changes as Disney did. So they are definitely operating closer to a typical experience at their parks. They are even bringing back their Mardi Gras celebration this spring, and they had Halloween Horror Nights in the fall. So if you're looking for something that's not quite as modified, maybe consider spending more time at Universal rather than at Disney. And of course, consider the West Coast too. So lots of options, and we're getting there, you guys. We're getting there. So thanks for hanging in there. Oh my goodness. What a time it's been. It's quite a roller coaster. It is so great to go ride a real roller coaster too, by the way. When you're dealing with all this craziness in the world. So I do encourage you to consider planning your trip and getting out there. Now, today's episode, as I said, there's no show notes, but if you want to review some of this and just kind of keep caught up with what's going on, make sure that you subscribe to the newsletter. So it's goinformed.net/newsletter. And, huge thank you to you guys for sticking with me, even with my crazy publishing schedule. I know most of you who are listening today are probably subscribers to the podcast, and I so appreciate you guys. Really, you are such an amazing part of my life right now, and it's really fun to get to share this stuff with you. Please reach out if you want to chat back to me. Send me a message on Facebook or on Instagram. You guys can find me over on both of those at GoInformNet. And also, you can chat live during our Facebook Live discussions, which take place most Tuesday mornings on my Facebook page at 11 o'clock. So if you want to, join the conversation, that is a really great way to do that. Next up is going to be Universal Orlando compared to Universal Hollywood, which I'm really excited to tell you guys about. So stay tuned for that one. And I hope your year is off to a great start. And I will talk to you again in a few weeks.